Let's do it. Let's do it. So what's going on, guys? Let's begin this here. All right, there we go. Much better. Okay. Let's go through this real quick, guys. PvP changes, updates, and numbers of Neltharion. So that's like the next big patch. So this won't come out for a bit, but I would expect this to come out within like 3 months, 4 months. Let's read this real quick, guys, and see how we're thinking. Critical strike PvP value at the beginning of Shadowlands. We increased the critical strike, increased from 175 from 150 from the normal 200. Okay, so they're lowering crit damage, so burst doesn't get lowered. I do like this change. I think burst damage was a bit too high in Shadowlands and Dragonflight anyways. Someone can literally kill you like within a second, so I don't mind this change. I don't mind this being changed here, but this is a big one I want to talk about, which is crowd control, and I've been hearing a lot about this on the Twitter and just everyone bringing this up. In September, we published a post, yada yada yada, concern for crowd control and PvP. In members of Neltharion, players will see the first step of this. As we're making targeted adjustments for crowd control duration, so nothing goes beyond 6 seconds. So no matter what CC in the game, the longest CC will be 6 seconds. That's kind of crazy. The good thing is they're removing the 15% flat CC reduction from your trinket and from your crafted item that you get as a PvPer. We've been excited to watch players utilize talents, PvP talents. Okay, so they're looking to change up PvP talents. That's actually really good. I like that. I like that they're changing up PvP talents. PvP talents have been touched since like Legion, so they're a bit outdated right now. So Precog in Dragonflight, we introduced a new PvP talent, Precog. We have been happy with how the mechanic has played out in practice. However, we feel like taking one of these 3 PvP talents has been too expensive. To solve this problem, we're removing Precog as a PvP talent, and we're going to be making it available as an optional reagent that can be used to apply to crafted gear. And this will count as an embellishment. Oh, wow. So not almost everyone, but almost everyone's going to have Precog. Free, yeah, they're just free Precogs. Ooh, how do I feel about this? So my problem with Precog, guys, is I think it's more of an issue with the game itself. I'm not a fan of classes that rely on Precog. So for example, I'm an Affliction Warlock main. The only way for me to get damage out, or the only way for me to ramp out, is if I fake a kick, proc a Precog, which gives me the haste, and that way I can cast. So I rely a lot on Precog, and it just like, it causes an unnecessary, it just makes the game like feel weird, and like all that matters is juking and kick. Like that's all that matters is just, like faking. If you don't fake, you get punished. If you do fake, it's just too good. I like Precog, but I don't like it that when it's like too important. So hopefully, you know, it's gonna be nice to fake a kick, but not mandatory in order to proc Precognition. Overall, I think this is good though. Because if they're planning on keeping 3 talent choices, making it so that as an option is good. It's gonna be a weird game when everyone has Precog. That's gonna be very weird for sure. All right, so now moving on to the big changes, guys. I'm not gonna go over the numbers too much. I think numbers will always change. I don't think these will be 100% set in stone just yet, because this could just be changed anytime. So numbers we'll just kind of skip through right now. Let me see here. And most of these are just all number changes, which is fine. I do want to see how lock is though. Oh wow, Blizzard's focusing on removing instant cast from Shadow Priest and making them cast a lot more. Kind of like that design change. I do like that a lot. We'll see how that plays out though. Like, it has to make it so that you gotta make it so that it's meaningful damage when you cast. But that's what makes Shadow Priest so good right now, is that they don't have to cast. So we'll see what happens with these changes. That's a lot to go through for sure as a Shadow Priest. All right, guys. I mean, this is what I wanted to talk about here. This is like the big thing that I'm very concerned about. So crit's getting nerfed. That's good. I do think that's good. Burst is way too high right now. Precog talent removed. It's free for every caster now, including healers. We'll see how that plays out. I'm a little bit worried with this, but this is what I'm concerned about here, guys. PvP set bonus removed. Now this is where it gets scary. Interrupts reduced by quite a bit. So looking like melee interrupts is now 3-second duration, and caster interrupt is now 5-second duration. So landing kicks won't be as impactful. On top of that, you're gonna have Precog as well. Man, that is gonna be weird. That is gonna be so weird. And I don't know how I feel about that. I do think melee right now are very homogenized in terms of like they have too much anyways, so this might be good for the game overall, but I think in the long term, not the biggest fan of lowering interrupt duration. Not the biggest fan of that, but we'll see how this plays out. Because the thing is, like, especially when you're dealing with Precog, like landing a kick should be meaningful. You know what I mean? It should feel meaningful when you do land an interrupt. And now with Precog, it's gonna be like faking, and it's like, why even press kick at that point? Because you're just gonna proc the Precog, and if you do kick them, it's gonna be 3-second duration. So that's gonna be weird. That's gonna be very weird. I don't know how I feel about that just yet, but could be okay. We'll see. 3-second duration. Oh man, that's gonna feel so weird. 2 seconds for Shaman. That's gonna feel really weird as well. All right, here we go. Crowd control PvP duration changes. Blinding sheet duration increased to 4 seconds. Asphyxiate reduced to 3 seconds. Oh my god. So DK stun has now become a 3-second stun. Fellow Eruption has now become 3 seconds from 4. Roots is now 6. Hibernate is now 6. Mass Entangle is now 6. Vortex lowered by 4 seconds. Oh my god, man. Intim stun from Hunters is now 3 seconds. Polymorph is now 6. So they absolutely just gutted CC. They were just like, you know what? You know what, guys? We know you guys love solo shuffle. Let's make 3v3 Arena just pure solo shuffle. CC doesn't matter. Absolutely just gutted CC. This is horrendous. This is so bad. I feel like this is such a this is a band-aid fix. This is just a band-aid fix, especially for the lower rated players. Because I feel like a lot of the lower rated players, the foreign players, complain about too much CC, and this is what happens. You're taking away win conditions from the game. You're just taking them away. What's crazy to me is like when things like this happen, and obviously the game is very different, but like when you think about like going back to older expansions like, you know, Wrath Catamop or like just anything, right? Legion, like longer CC durations was never a problem. And the fact that they're doing this now is such just like a band-aid fix, and it's so bad. And my problem with this right now, chat, is that if this goes live, like there's a chance that this does not go live, but if this goes live, this is gonna kill PvP. I really do believe this will kill WoW PvP. And not just from like a high level standpoint. It's gonna make the game so, people hate dampening. Like just sit back, do nothing, and eventually you win. And especially the fact that they're reducing crit rating as well. So they're taking away the one shots from the game, or lowering one shot potential from the game, and they're just reducing CC. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna sit back and you're just gonna do damage. Once dampening rolls around, you'll hit them with the small CC chain. But there's no reason for a mage, for example, to blink in, cast a polymorph, have to fake interrupts. He lands the polymorph and it ends up being 6 seconds. And if he wants to recast a polymorph, how long is that polymorph gonna be? 3 seconds? 6 seconds, probably not gonna be enough to kill the target. He's gonna have to recast the polymorph, and that polymorph ends up being 3 seconds, and then it ends up being what, 1.5? That is insane. And on top of that, you have to deal with the interrupts as well. Holy moly, that's garbanzo beans. And now for Hunter, the Intim, last 3 seconds they trap for 6 seconds. But Intim's what, a 1 minute cooldown? Foxy brought up a good point. They were taking away the passive rally, so it's effectively the same thing as it is right now. It's not the same thing, though. It is not the same thing. Let's say, for example, Asphyxiate. 15% of 5 seconds is not 3 seconds. It's not even close. If it was 15% of Asphyxiate, it would be 4.5 seconds. Yeah, 4.5 seconds. But now it's 3 seconds. That's a big jump. Blind duration decreased to 5 seconds in PvP combat was 8 seconds. Oh my god. 5-second blind. Sap duration decreased to 6 seconds in PvP combat was 8 seconds. That's brutal. I don't think this is that big of a deal compared to this. The fact that blind is 5 seconds is insane, so that you can't blind sap anymore. It is legit impossible to blind sap. And then kidney shot reduced by 1 second. I think this was fine. I do think this was fine. If they wanted to like nerf rogues, I think this alone would have been more than enough. But this is horrendous because again, you're taking away win conditions. And win conditions is so important for WoW PvP. And you're just taking that away. And I mean, I don't even play rogue. I don't even love rogues. I have no love for rogues. But that's just a terrible, terrible change. But yeah, for those that are saying, guys, like 15% that they're taking away from Relentless does not add up. Does not even come close to what you're losing out on. Fixate being 5 seconds and it's now 3 seconds. That's a 2-second nerf. And if you're thinking of 15%, that would have been, I mean, not a full second even. It would have been 0.75 lowered off. Yeah, like if you're saying do the math doesn't even come close, guys. Doesn't even come close to what they're changing. 5-second blind. Lowering the kidney shot I'm cool with, but they gotta revert this. They gotta change that for sure. I'm telling you boys right now, man, if this goes through, guys, I'm not even talking about like these numbers or like whatever, like who cares about numbers, but if this goes live right now, or or like in the future patch, and there's nothing we can do to prevent this from happening, it is going to destroy WoW PvP. WoW PvP is going to be done for. And I understand that people do complain that there might be too much CC in the game and whatnot, but like there are other ways to fix it. You know what I mean? They could have started off with the crit nerf first and then decide to nerf CC, or in some places, but not all places. Like the fact that they're making every CC a maximum 6-second duration is wild, man. And then scroll down here, just a bunch of number changes and stuff. So number changes we'll worry about when the time comes, but yeah. I feel like the devs are just so out of touch. Like, what are they doing? Right now, when you watch tournaments, when you watch high-rated gameplay, when you just play the game, or even solo shuffle, CC is so like undervalued right now because you're just trying to do damage. That's the name of the game. You're just trying to do damage, and people have been asking to move away from just doing damage. And now they make a change like this. And it's like, well, instead of moving away from just doing damage, now we're going to a direction where you just do more damage and you just win based on damage. I don't know if you guys remember, like, I mean, I could be a boomer, but this is WoD. When I'm thinking like comps like this, I'm thinking WoD, which is only a few expansions ago, and people don't even think WoD as like a prime expansion. But you had comps like Pharaoh Mage Paladin or Pharaoh Mage Priest, where the Pharaoh would clone and the Mage was sheep, and then he would, you know what I mean? He would frost draw, whatever it was called, and you would have to worry about kicking clone and then stopping sheep and then stopping fear and then just worrying about breaking up these CC chains. Nowadays, Pharaohs don't even spec into Cyclone. Shadow Priest Pharaoh used to be a comp where you had insane amount of CCs with Sci-Fiend, Cyclone, you know, Hodge, Stun, Silence. Now Pharaohs don't have a spec in a Cyclone. Shadow Priest has become just a do damage spec. Pharaohs have become just a do damage rot spec. You just rot people down versus interactive CC that the player has to stop or you have to get off, and they're just moving away from that. You will never see comps like that ever again, where like CC and setting up is important. And that's not even a rogue comp. You know what I mean? When people think of like me like defending CC comps, this is not even a rogue comp. I'm talking about Pharaoh Mage. I'm talking like Mage Shadow Priest. Mage Shadow Priest is no longer about CC. It's about max ranging and do damage and eventually dampening hits, and then you win on damage. And that's the direction we're going towards. I mean, we've already moved away from those types of comps, but now it's even going to be even worse. Can you still do chains and setups have to be tighter on timing? You cannot no longer because you get punished too much, my dude. You just get punished way too much. Because for example, like a Pharaoh right now sitting there casting clone, one, he's losing out on damage, and two, if he gets stopped in that clone, that's like 5 seconds where one, you're not doing damage, and two, you're taking damage, so you're just losing. Because CC sometimes is already hard to get out as it is. Let alone like re-CC. I don't know how like, I don't know, like when you think of a polymorph, for example, if a mage casts polymorph, he'll eventually land the polymorph after dealing with interrupts or dealing with whatever he has to deal with to get that polymorph, and he has to deal with it again, land a 3-second polymorph, and then land a 1.5-second polymorph. If I was a dev right now and I wanted to deal with the CC thingy, what the number one thing they need to do is bring back, well, they have to change up a lot of class design, but they got to bring back double dispel. I think double dispel is crucial. I think the fact that healers only have one dispel to play with is extremely bad for the game. And I think what they could have done before making these huge changes was nerfing crit. I think nerfing crit is fine, and then bringing back double dispel. And the double dispel would have been plenty, and also removing the 15% relentless. But I'm telling you guys right now, if these go through, no one is gonna enjoy doing arenas, man. When all you have to do is sit back and do damage and eventually win. And I feel like the devs are just so out of touch. Like, where is this coming from? Why are these changes going through? Where is this coming from? I feel like people are already complaining that the game is just so do damage based already, like PvE based already. Why are they so out of touch? If anything, they should be buffing CC. I think the kick nerf is fine. I mean, I feel like the kick nerf might be okay, but they have to look into the kick nerf with the precog and how precog is gonna work, because right now, as anyone with an interrupt and everyone having precog, it's gonna be terrible. Like, it's gonna be awful. Like, when having to deal with all the fakes that everyone's doing, trying to proc their precog, and then only having a kick duration lasting 3 seconds, they definitely have to look into that for sure. Because precog with the kick nerfs is gonna be insane. Yeah, people brought up the orc thing. I think orc will get nerfed. I think they just haven't thought about that yet. But like, orc will be nerfed by the time these changes do come out. Otherwise, orc is just gonna be ridiculous. But yeah, that'll be That'll be looked at, I'm sure. But at this point, who even knows? Who even knows, man? Like, at this point, who freaking knows? I'm actually so disappointed looking at this stuff. And I've been saying it for so long now that the game just needs to go in the direction where you focus on CC orientated comps, and CC like win conditions versus just doing damage. When you think about Frost Mage design, you think about mages back in even like looking at Wrath of Lich, because we're playing Wrath right now. Mages going for like the deep freeze into sheep, into the blanket CS, into like, you know, into the burst windows. Nowadays, Frost Mages just blink back, Frozen Orb, Ice Lance, blink back, Frozen Orb, Ice Lance, Blizzard. You don't even bother casting Polymorph nowadays. And why should, and then when these changes come out, why should you? Do you agree though that the average player finds that harder and thus more frustrating and also anti-solo queue friendly? I'm honestly no. I even from like a lower rating perspective or like mid-range perspective, I don't think these changes are good overall. And I don't think it's a direction that you want even the average player or like the lower rated players to go. You wanna promote and you wanna influence worse players to go for CC and interrupt CC. You know what I mean? You don't want them given the mindset of like CC is bad. Why did they even make these changes? Halinka said that CC has been complained at lower ratings, mid ratings, and high ratings. And if that's the case, then he is looking at the forums and looking at like 1,200 rated players or something like that. And I'm sorry, man. Listen, I understand that they're you know what I mean, the lower rated players matter. But the reason why retail is the way it is right now is because Blizzard has been catering to the casuals. They have been. And now look at where the game is at. So if that is their reasoning with making these changes, then the game is going to get even worse because it's been going downhill ever since they started catering to the casual. They could nerf micro CCs. Sure, you can nerf like a psychic horror, like a silence. You can nerf interrupts. You can nerf like small little CCs. But don't nerf casted CCs. Don't nerf CCs that like people have to go out of their way to land. You know what I mean? Like a hunter going out of their way to land like intim to freezing. Like don't nerf that kind of stuff. If you want to nerf small little micro CCs, sure. I won't argue with you there, but like the fact that they're nerfing casted CC and removing blind sap, lowering hex, like some shamans don't even spec in a hex anymore, guys, because it's not been worth it. Now as an alley shaman do you even spec in a hex? Hex is a DPS loss? Exactly. Hex is a DPS loss. You're spending all that time casting a hex, and if you get interrupted on it, then you're not doing damage, right? Oh my god, guys. I actually feel so bad for rogues. 2-minute cooldown, 5-second blind that you can't sap off of. 2-minute cooldown. I think if they just removed blind, I wouldn't be as upset if they just removed it. Clearly, rogues should be guaranteed victory when they blind you. No, but I mean, that's not the case anyways. And if that's the case, then there's other ways to fix it, or you're just bad. Rogues are constantly busted? I agree. I do think rogues are constantly busted, but this is not how you remove it. This is not how you fix them. This would have been fine. I think this is an amazing change right here, what they did. This, not so much. I think this will finally break RMP after so many expansions, finally. No, that's the thing. It's not gonna break RMP. Because now RMP will just play that slow gameplay. Don't take damage, never blinking for CC. You stay back and just do damage. And guess what? A rogue plus mage plus disc priest shooting at you, still gonna be losing. They're just gonna sit back in PvE now more than ever. Because there's no reason to go in for CC. And if you wanted to nerf RMP, guess what? Bring in double dispel would have been really good to nerf RMP. So are there any pros I saw here that I liked? I do like lowering the kick duration. I don't like how it's tied to precog though. I think precog is gonna need a nerf or just changed in general, because it's gonna be too punishing to one, miss a kick and not rewarding enough to land a kick when you pair it up with precog. So I think one of those two need to get looked at, either nerfing precog or not nerfing interrupts. But the way it is right now, it's just too punishing to miss a kick and then not rewarding enough to land a kick. Should be happy. This will be a big buff to AF effectively. I don't give a shit about if my class is doing good or not. I could care less. I want the game to be good. I want the game to be successful. I want to play a fun game. I don't care if this is a buff to AFLOC. You know the reason why AFLOC is so bad? Because they don't have any CC. Because they just sit there and do damage. Now that's how how AFLOCs are feeling. Now every class is gonna feel that way. And playing Affliction Lock is miserable because you have no CC. You don't go for a CC. You go for CC, you get punished and you die. Those are my thoughts on that, guys. I'll probably play a week with these changes. I'm gonna hate it. And I've been caring about patch changes for 13 years now, and these are the worst I've ever seen.